Now, this Saturday, the third edition of the Jazz and Classical Encounters Festival kicks off at the Spier Wine Estate in Stellenbosch. The one-day event will pay tribute to artists who passed away in the past year, including legendary soprano Sibongile Khumalo and the renowned pianist Andre Peterson. Award-winning pianist Bokani Dryer will open the festival, followed by soprano Zandile Mzazi and violinist Elinor Speirs. After a two-year absence, the legendary trumpeter Feya Faku returns to the stage to close the show. Festival organiser Aymeric Peguillan joins us now to give us more. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, it sounds really exciting, and it also has a very significant underlying message behind it, paying tribute to those who have fallen.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity, Paul. Yes, it's the third edition, and we're really exciting. It's been tough times, as you know, for the arts industry the last couple of years. So we're really grateful already that we can host this event in the beautiful amphitheater at Spier. And as you just said, we are going to be paying tribute to all those who have departed in the last couple of years. In particular, Mam Sibongile was a great inspiration to many, who has been navigating between the classical world and the jazz world, who is very famous in South Africa and abroad, as well as Andre Peterson, who is a Cape Town born and who was an amazing pianist both in the classical and the jazz arena, and both of them great educators who have inspired so many young artists, including Bokani Dryer. Bokani Dryer, who, as you said, will open the festival and was very close to Andre Peterson, and who actually happened to be the last person that Andre recorded with earlier this year in May for a session called House on the Hill. So it's going to be charged with a lot of emotion, but we're going to find the better way of celebrating them through their music.
An emotionally charged event, and of course we cannot ignore the emotions that have been experienced in the midst of COVID-19, the restrictions, the lockdown, having a huge impact on artists.
Absolutely. I mean, we lost a lot of people, artists, administrators, people involved in venues. So, it's a way of saying we're standing. Arts are important, actually far more important, I think, that we give space to it in South Africa. Arts helps us defining our identity. Arts is essentially, the things that give us most of our emotions, that bring a lot of color to our lives. And so through music and through two different genres of music, which is one of the pillars of the festival, bring together artists who are coming from the classical world, some others that come from the jazz world, and have audiences that don't usually sit next to each other, and have them together in the same amphitheater, in the same room, and appreciating each other's genre, and getting to discover and be curious about the arts and about South African talent, because that's also what this festival is about. There's another artist that is going to be performing at the festival. Kathleen Tagg was based in New York, an amazing pianist who has recorded a wonderful album with Andre Peterson a few years ago called Where Worlds Collide, and who is an amazing pianist and who is coming specifically for the festival. So really super grateful for that. It's going to be an absolute wonderful feast all day, all afternoon from 11:30 when the doors open. So we're really looking forward to having lots of great emotions with them.
We've seen major events like the Rage Belito being cancelled because of COVID-19 and some cases being discovered there. When it comes to some of the contingency measures that you've put in place and, in compliance with the COVID-19 restrictions, what are some of those measures, and are you not concerned about the rising cases that we're seeing of COVID-19? I mean, Gauteng already is essentially the epicenter.
Well, yes, we are very concerned, and we certainly don't want to contribute to that spread. So we are not filling up the amphitheater. We're going to be half capacity only. We're going to have distancing in the stands. No mask, no entry. We're going to be checking temperatures at the entrance and take details of everybody who comes in. We have an isolation room as well for those who don't feel well. So we don't want to take chances, and we've agreed with the Spier owners that we would not be filling up the amphitheater specifically for that reason. It's an open amphitheater, so we're also trying to make things better in that regard. And we have also long intermissions between acts, also to make sure that we can ventilate the space. And we also have a number of ushers who are going to be there to make sure that we can sanitize regularly. So we are taking precautions, and we certainly don't want to put anybody at risk. And so that's the way we did it last year and the way we're doing it this year again.
The travel bans have also weighed in heavily as perhaps a huge challenge when it comes to live performances and people moving around. And I mean, you've just spoken of a fantastic lineup. Is that not a concern when it comes to perhaps some cancellations that may be experienced?
Well, Kathy is actually in the plane as we speak, so we know that she's coming. The other artists, some are based in Gauteng. We've checked them. We had the results yesterday, so we know they're negative. But we are cutting ourselves from our international audience. The first edition, we had about 20% of our audience that was foreigners visiting South Africa at the time. Last year we had none, and this year again none. So listen, it's tough condition. It's obviously not ideal. It's not what we would want ideally, but the fact that we can still host the event, even if limited in capacity, is also a way of saying we're still alive, we're still here, and we also allow for artists to make a living and to share with us their great creations. So we are mindful of all these conditions. We try to navigate through them, trying to do that responsibly, and trying to make sure that everybody is going to come out in good condition, alive, and having a great, wonderful experience.
You make mention of the tough conditions, and you also refer to artists needing to make a living. Talk to us very briefly about some of the challenges that artists have experienced. I mean, we saw a lot of innovations with the online platforms, but, you're hosting a live event, and it's something really important to the arts industry and audiences.
Yeah, it is important. And this year we've decided not to live stream, but to film the event. So we're going to film and record the event so that we can package it and sell it to some TV stations that specialize in the art in Europe and the US, so that we can also generate extra revenue for ourselves and for the artist. It's been extremely tough. We know the limits of live streaming. There's been quite a lot of live streaming, but we've seen over the last 18 months that the revenue generated, except for some very specific exceptions, has actually been limited.